Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and for those of you who are new here, hi, my name is Heidi, and welcome to my guide to Tokyo, the city I've called home for 4 years. I hope you enjoy! Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and for today I'm going to be talking about my unofficial guide to Tokyo, from getting to the city to where to stay, what to do, what to eat, and more. So if you guys like this kind of content, don't forget to click the like, subscribe, and leave a comment sharing your favorite spot in Tokyo or a place that you want to go to in Tokyo. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing that you need to consider when coming to Tokyo is how to get here from Narita International Airport, which I assume is going to be the airport that you guys are going to be coming from. So for me, there are 3 ways that I like to get to the city from the airport, and they're all trains because I cannot with traffic. I use a local train, the Narita Express, and Skyliner. So for the local train, I use it because sometimes I'm on a budget and I have a lot of time to kill, because the local train takes up to 2 hours to get to Tokyo, but I only spent 1,350 yen, depending on where I catch the train from. The next type of train that I like to take is called the Narita Express. The reason why I like the Narita Express is that it's a very seamless transfer into the city. It does take an hour and 30 minutes, but when you get off, you can choose to get off at Tokyo Station, Shinagawa, Shibuya, Shinjuku, even Yokohama, and other parts of Western Tokyo. So it's very convenient if you're staying downtown and if you don't like the fuss of lugging your bags everywhere and not knowing where to sit, because the local train seating is not reserved, so if you're not lucky, you're just gonna stand the entire time you're on that train. Whereas for the Narita Express, you actually have to reserve your seat. The last type of train that I like to take is called the Keisei Skyliner, which is also a little bit pricey at around 2,500 yen one way, but it gets you to the city in 37 minutes. It's really, really fast. Downside is that you get off at Nippori or Ueno, and if you're staying in Shinjuku, Shibuya, or Shinagawa, it takes a really long time to get there. But other than that, if you don't have that much time to spend in the city, this is your best option. So moving on, let's talk about where I recommend you stay. This is a very common question with my friends as they're planning their trip to Tokyo, and I would recommend Shibuya, Shinjuku, or Shinagawa. These are in downtown Tokyo, and there's just so much to do in Shinjuku, so much shopping, so much eating. Same with Shibuya if you like clubbing or you're into the youth culture and stuff like that. And Shinagawa for easy access to the Shinkansen, but you're also near downtown Tokyo. If you stayed in Ueno, Asakusa, Oshiage, and you want to get to Shibuya, you're going to kill a lot of time on the train. Whereas if you already stayed downtown, less travel time, and you can do much more than you would if you just stayed in Oshiage. Because honestly, for Oshiage, the only attraction I can think of is Tokyo Skytree, which is quite expensive to go up, and I think that's pretty much it. In Asakusa, you have Kaminarimon and that entire old traditional shopping district, but in terms of entertainment, nightlife, and shopping, it might not be the place you want to stay in. And for example, you can't find a hostel or an Airbnb that's within your budget in Shinjuku, Shinagawa, and Shibuya, then I would suggest to look in the train station right next to it, because all these 3 stations that I mentioned are transport hubs that cover so many different lines, and if you just check on Airbnb or Booking.com, there should be a hostel or accommodation in the train station 1 stop over, and it's going to be a little less expensive, and you don't get the busyness of Shinjuku, but you still get the accessibility to it, which is great. So next, let's talk about how you're gonna get around Tokyo. Of course, we have the most popular option, which is the Tokyo Metro Subway Pass, which isn't too expensive actually. I think the cheapest one is around 800 yen for 24 hours, then 1,200 for 48, and 1,500 for 72 hours. The only caveat is that you can only use it on subways, so everything underground. You cannot use JR with this pass. But if you're in an area that has a lot of subway lines, which is technically most of Tokyo, most of the 23 wards at least, then you won't have a problem with just surviving on this pass alone. Next, a lot of people ask me, should I get the JR pass? And it really depends. Are you planning to travel outside of Tokyo? Are you going to go to Osaka, Kyoto, Kanazawa? Then that's the only time I would recommend that you get the JR pass. But if you're just staying in Tokyo and you're taking 1 or 2 day trips here and there, depending on where you go, it might not be worth it, and I would rather just stick to the Metro pass if it applies to you. Lastly, people are like, Suica, Pasmo, which one? And honestly, it's the same thing. It's just a train card. You reload it at any of the train stations. And I think it just depends on when you land. Do you come across a Suica machine first or a Pasmo machine first? What I love about those rechargeable train cards is that you can also use them at convenience stores and certain restaurants like Skiya or Matsuya. It's just convenient for you to get around the city rather than buying a ticket every time you need to go somewhere. When I first came to Japan as a tourist, I would load 10,000 yen into my Suica or Pasmo, and that was pretty much it. Another cool trivia about these Suica or Pasmo cards is that they differ per region of Japan. For example, the Suica card is a penguin, but if you go to Osaka, I think it's called Ikoka, and it's a platypus. Coming up, let's talk about art museums and galleries. These are some of my favorites. These are the ones I think are worth going to. The first one is Lurf Museum in Daikanyama. It's pretty new. I think it opened sometime last year, and what I love about it is that the art exhibits change every month and there's always something new to see, and it's in such a nice area of Tokyo. It's very nice to walk around there, and not to mention there's a cafe underneath, so that's pretty nice too. Next, for something more interactive, I would highly suggest the Outdoor Ueda Museum in West Tokyo, and the reason why I recommend that is because it's like walking through a preserved piece of history. There are lots of old traditional Japanese houses, even old establishments like bathhouses and photo studios, and it just feels so immersive almost, and it gives you an insight on how Japan was many generations ago. It is a little bit out of the way, but if you're already going to the Studio Ghibli Museum, it's a few stops away from that, so might as well take a short day trip out there and see what it's all about. Next, I recommend the Yayoi Kusama Museum, and it's very easy to digest. It's only a few levels and the rooms aren't too big. You'll never really get the same photo twice. My last recommendation for museums/galleries is definitely Design Hub in Roppongi. Not only do they have those graphic design exhibits every so often, which I really enjoy seeing, it's also in the middle of the city, and when you look out one of the windows, it has so much greenery, and it's just something you don't really see in the middle of Tokyo. Next, of course, we're going to talk about my top cafe recommendations. It wouldn't be a video or my guide if I did not include this. So the first one on top of my list is Think of Things in Harajuku. The reason why I love Think of Things is because it looks like a regular just cafe. They sell some stationaries and stuff, but at the back it has this beautiful secret garden that just feels so private and so only those in the know would know about it, and it's just a nice place to chill and rest your feet after a whole day of shopping and walking around Harajuku. Another cafe that I really love is called Paddler's Coffee. It's in this nice suburban area near Shinjuku. During spring is when it shines, because right on the patio is a cherry blossom tree. So just imagine yourself sitting on that deck having your morning coffee underneath the cherry blossom tree. It's just one of those experiences where you're like, I'm in Japan. Following the trend of patios and open spaces in Tokyo, I would suggest Nadoya no Kate, which is only open on weekends, I think, near Yoyogi Uehara. The reason why I like it is because it looks like someone's old house that they renovated and they added a cafe to it. So I would highly recommend that you go on a weekend morning or sometime in the afternoon when the weather is a little cooler. The baristas really know their stuff. They always explain where the bean is sourced from, the flavor profile, and they're very enthusiastic about what they do. So I think if you really like coffee, this is a place to check out. And next, I can recommend Neil for crepes. It's near Harajuku. It's, I think, within walking distance. Like a fair amount of walking is needed, but when you get there, it's a very small, intimate cafe. There's always a line to get in, but once you get in, it is so worth it. The crepes are really delicious. For my last two recommendations for cafes, the first one is Earth Chai and Tea in Ebisu. Reason being, this is a chai specialty store. They have different chai infused drinks. So delicious. I've never been to any store like this. So if you're near Ebisu, which is near Shibuya, check it out. And they come in such big servings too, which is quite rare for Japan. My last recommendation for cafes is in Nakano, which is a few stops from Shinjuku, and it's called Lu. I went there for breakfast once, and I have not stopped thinking about that breakfast bagel since. Nakano is known for Nakano Broadway, and it's in the back streets of that area. It reminds me a lot of Paddlers, which is why I like it. My cheap eats recommendation for actual Japanese food. The first one is called Tas Yard. They have this perfect blend of Japanese curry. Normally, sometimes for me, curry can feel a little bit heavy after I eat it, but the one at Tas Yard is quite light. It comes in 2 servings, medium and large, so you can definitely pick your portion portion sizes. So if you're into Japanese curry, you want to try something different from like Koku Ichibani or something, Nasi Art is also a really good option. Granted, it is quite popular, so be prepared to wait in line during lunchtime. Next, for tamago sando or egg sandwiches, I would recommend Camelback. I went there a few weeks ago and I had their tamago sando or egg sandwich after such a long time, and I realized how good it was. It has so much flavor and you can tell that the quality is 10 times better than what you could find in a convenience store. It's quite near Fuglen, so if you're also into coffee, Fuglen is nearby, but it's always crowded, it's always full, so I would not recommend you go there. Maybe go to the branch in Hanagi-koen or Asakusa. Next, for teishoku or set lunches, which is something I've grown to love since I've moved here, I would highly recommend Ishin. I've brought so many of my friends there, they all love it. Only downside is you have to wait at least 45 minutes in line before it opens, but it is so worth it. It is inexpensive, high quality, the rice just is on a whole nother level. I used to not understand the difference between just regular rice and high grade rice, and the one that they use there is so different. Like, it's delicious. I could eat it on its own, basically. It's popular for a reason. The lines are always long, no matter the day, regardless of it being a weekend, but it's also very inexpensive for what you pay. So if you're up for it, go to Ishin in Daikanyama. Next, for udon shin for me in Yoyogi or West Shinjuku. The reason why is because they have this thing called tempura bacon, and it's so good, and they do not hold back on how thick that slab of bacon is. As tempura, it's like so different. It's so delicious. There's no other way I can describe it. And the udon noodles are such high quality and it's so cheap for what it is. Like, the serving is huge. You're so full after. Talking about things to do in Tokyo, instead of going to the normal like tourist destinations like Tokyo Tower, Tokyo Skytree, Asakusa, Shibuya Crossing, I would suggest doing something else and checking out the local neighborhoods in the area. I would highly recommend Shimokitazawa and Koenji for thrifting and cafes. Then I would recommend Yanaka Ginza and Kagurazaka for a more traditional feel of Tokyo. There's so much history behind them. There are lots of mom and pop shops. But for Yanaka Ginza, you cannot miss out on the sunset steps. So try to go there right when the sun is about to set and you will not regret it. It is so beautiful. And the last neighborhood I highly recommend is Nakameguro, only for cherry blossom season, but also it's really good for cafe hopping. So if you really like walking, those places are perfect for getting your hot girl walk in. Next, for tips on how to save money while you're traveling around Tokyo, I try to clump the places that I want to go to per area. For example, if I'm staying in Ueno, I'm going to check out Ueno Park, Ueno Zoo, the museums in Ueno, maybe Nippori and Asakusa. I won't waste any time going from Ueno to Tsukiji to Shibuya to Shinjuku to Ikebukuro, because you're just going everywhere and you're going to waste a lot of time on the train. So it's just better to focus your itinerary on just certain spots in Tokyo. That way you get the most out of it and you can really soak in the sights. Another tip I'd like to give you guys, if you want to save money on food, then definitely go out and eat during lunchtime. The place that I mentioned, the price is pretty much the same except Ishin because it turns into a fancy izakaya at night. The last tip that I would give is when you come to Tokyo, wear sneakers, because you're going to do a lot of walking, and practically everyone in Tokyo wears sneakers because they walk a lot, and it's really a city meant for walking. If you can, try to look for bicycle rental shops that rent to tourists, because exploring Tokyo by bike is such a nice feeling. I think there might be one in Kanda. I will link all the places that I mentioned today in the description box down below, so please feel free to check it out. And if you like this video, please don't forget to share it with your friends and family. Comment, then tell me what your favorite place, restaurant, attraction is in Tokyo, because I'm always on the lookout to explore and see more of this city. So I hope this helped. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!